24 and 25 of your Level 1 method book. Here's your pretty face. We learn about dynamic signs, and so I'm going to tell you some information about dynamic signs that I hope for you to memorize, and you can watch this again at home if you need to remember all the information. So dynamic, the word means to change, and so we will be learning first. Oh, I guess I already pulled these out.
Yeah.
Okay. We will be learning first dynamic contrast, which means, a change, a big difference from one to the next. I can't find your cards, I guess. I don't know. I only see mezzo, piano, and mezzo. Oh, here we go. They're right here. Here they are. So, dynamic signs, or dynamic markings, dynamic symbols, you'll hear them called, all of those, are written typically in Italian. And the dynamics are indicated by an abbreviation, which is usually 1 or 2 letters. So, for example, forte will be abbreviated with an F. And dynamic markings will always indicate only one thing. The one thing is volume, nothing else.
Okay.
And so remembering that dynamic terms are abbreviations for Italian words and only indicate one thing, which is volume, is really important, because sometimes people in the United States and probably other English-speaking countries, I just wouldn't know about those, but you sometimes will get confused when you see an F in the music and your teacher says, what does F mean? And you might say, fast. But F is an abbreviation for an Italian word. Fast is not an Italian word, so fast cannot be the correct answer. And also, fast is not volume, it's speed, right? So we only will have volume. Now, dynamics are not precise, as in like F means this many decibels every time or something like that. Dynamics are contextual. So like if you only have one dynamic marking and it's F, you might not worry about being as loud as you would if you had to play like a forte, a piano, a mezzo forte, and like you had to keep changing. So whenever you see one of these letters, like I say, you want an immediate change, which creates dynamic contrast. So the last note of the forte section should be loud, and if the next dynamic marking is piano, the very next note should be soft.
Okay.
Immediate change.
Okay.
And we know contrast means a difference, right? So like black and white keys on the piano, you can see very clearly where the one key ends and the other begins, because there's a big difference between the one and the other. So we don't want an ambiguous change where it's like, oh, I think he changed to the volume there maybe. Like we want to really hear a clear shift right away. Later in level 2, you'll learn about something else called dynamic shading, which is where we will gradually change volume, but not in level 1, just dynamic contrast. And, I forgot something. Oh, so one way you can remember that piano and forte mean to change or mean, volume. The piano is called piano. So if you watch like a Jane Austen movie or something like that, like a period movie from maybe around the 1800s, especially set in Europe, you'll hear people say, oh, let's go play the pianoforte, right? Well, pianos, surprise, surprise, were invented in Italy, and the keyboard instruments, which were the predecessors to the piano, such as the harpsichord, the clavier, etc., the dynamics could not change because the strings were typically plucked, as opposed to the piano, where the strings are struck by a hammer. And so everybody was like, oh, Cristofori invented this thing where the volume can change. So you can be loud or you can be soft. And that was really when the piano became like this instrument that could be used at concerts and stuff, because instead of just being played in like in your home for like a small group of your friends, now the piano after that point started developing into an instrument that you could use in a concert hall, and became bigger and beefier over time. So anyways, those are kind of the important things to remember. So I'll just ask you a few questions to see if you remember what I just said. So what do dynamic markings indicate?
Volume.
Right. Do dynamic markings ever indicate something else, like maybe mood or speed?
No.
But are there sometimes, like when F could mean like fast?
No. F means loud.
All right. Very good. Very good. I tried to trick you, but you saw me coming. And what language are dynamic markings usually written in?
Italian.
Right. And so when you see the letter F or P on the page, you know those are abbreviations for words in what language?
Italian.
And the abbreviations are indicating one thing.
Volume.
Right.
So P would be soft, F would be loud.
And so when I hold these up next week, that's like what I will be
Okay.
asking you about. Do you have any questions about any of that?
No?
Alrighty.
So you were talking a minute ago about how they will change in songs, and you do hear that in music.
Mhm.
So when I practice, since this one is soft and this one's loud, can I just go from one into the other to practice on soft and then come to that one with loud?
Yeah, you
Okay.
won't have I don't have you won't have the dynamic markings change until like you get farther along
Okay.
in the same song.